let's can we go let's go back to the styles
Yeah.
comment
Of
you made,
course, of course.
because you were talking about newbies who don't know anything necessarily about kettlebells specifically. They just want the
Exactly,
benefit, right? But then the choir that you're preaching to that you mentioned, where they know everything, and really you're just repeating ideas that they,
exactly,
or you're just going more into detail.
exactly.
But there are people in the middle who have some understanding of kettlebells, who know the difference between hard style and sport,
Yeah,
and that in the past I've used as a reference for my own way of moving, which I would say is more like a hybrid style as well.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
but what I've learned though is that, well, one, I'm happy that I started learning. I think it was a combo. You have more of like a sports style that I learned from, and then Mark Wildman was uh more of the hard style. And and I think the combination of those two really gave me a good basis. And I'm just now putting together that it's because I was able to look at the similarities between both, and I didn't have to swing my leg or my torso in like a specific way, my hips, to achieve the desired effect. It was really a more holistic approach between
Mm-hmm.
the two. And it's
Yeah,
like whatever the Venn diagram is of sport and hard style, like focus on that. And then even then in the future, you can make up your own style and break the rules because you know what not to do. And I think
yeah.
it's mostly just like avoiding the bad to achieve the good. You don't necessarily have to fit into one of these boxes to
Oh,
get the
most
desired
definitely. Yeah,
result.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. He, you're mentioning this is a concept that I always consider becoming an expert. When you are learning the tool, follow what your masters teach.
Yeah.
When you have mastered the tool, venture out on your own.
Yeah. Because how else can things evolve? You can't
Exactly.
you can't stay static.
Yes, yes. You
Um,
learn. You learn. You, for example, I have over 60 conversations now on this podcast
yeah.
with mostly kettlebell folks,
Right. Okay.
and we're learning so many things about this tool. At the same time, I also realize that the more that I learn, the less I know.
Yeah. Dude, before I came on, sorry to interrupt, but before
Yeah.
I came on, I was like 3 months ago when you first invited me, I felt more confident with this tool because now I'm just like my style is changing up. I'm like, there's so much that I know I don't know, but I'm just gonna keep going and figuring it out.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
sorry. Can you
So,
just?
and that's exactly the reason why I don't think it is a good idea to cement yourself in stone with any type of training philosophy or style, however you want to call it. And the most liberating concept I have received or I have heard was from Sean Mosen, and I've quoted him like thousands of times on this podcast. It was the most pivotal quote. It's not about the style, it's all about intent.
Yeah.
That that kills the whole debate. Because here's the thing. Let's just say, okay, I want to do, what is your goal? You want to build, let's do some strength endurance, right? Or just endurance. Okay. Now, for a person who doesn't have the technique of a double jerk down pat, right? Boom, with double kettlebells. For this person, it's an all out effort exercise. It's strength, it's brain, it's endurance, it's blood, it's everything, right? Blood coming out of their ears because they're dying. Okay.
Yeah.
Once you've mastered the jerk, and when you pick up a belt, it becomes an endurance exercise,
Mm.
even with heavier weights. That's the crazy thing about it. Because you rack the weight on your frame, on your skeleton, you can stay static without using any muscle. And as you explode the weight up, you do the same thing that a weightlifter does. It's all about power. So we could call it power endurance at the end, right?
Mm.
Great. So that's what you want to do. For example, I'm not the type to go for 30 minutes on a rower or water rower or on a treadmill or run. I'm not that type. So now I do, hey, let's do 2 minutes of running, 2 minutes of water rowing, 2 minutes of jerks. Or
That's
two
like
minutes of
Like
in
a
a, in
circuit?
a in a circuit. So I have 6 minutes of cardio. For example, that's my Saturday workout. And then the next round is let's do 2 minutes on a treadmill, 2 minutes on a water rower, and then 2 minutes burpees or 2 minutes long cycle. So now I've categorized these exercises as endurance because I have mastered the long cycle and the jerk to an extent where it becomes an endurance exercise.
Right.
Has doesn't build muscle, not at all. That and look at the Russians and look at the champions. They don't have that muscle because it's all about explosiveness and endurance. And every kettlebell sport coach is going to tell you the first thing that you need to build is endurance, volume. Great. So you want to build endurance? Great. So do you master these techniques and exercises? Great. Let's break it down even further. Do some swings. That's also great cardiovascular training. Yeah, but I'm dying. Yeah, because your lower back is probably not conditioned yet. Yeah, my grip. Well, maybe you need to use chalk, or your grip is not conditioned, or your technique is failing. But once you master all these things, it becomes a cardiovascular exercise. Period. Now, let's take the other route. You're saying, hey, Gregory, listen, man, I want to build some muscle, build some strength. Okay, let's pick up these double kettlebells and do strict presses. Do some heavy deadlifts. That's my difference between hardstyle and sport. It's either high tension or high volume. And that's why I always have to debate with these SFGs and RKCs, and they don't like me for this sometimes. And here's the thing, I don't want to step on somebody's toes. I just want to get closer to the truth. That's my only goal. I don't care about emotions. I don't care about Pavel. I don't care about nothing. It's all about the truth. So here's the thing. It doesn't make sense to use that much tension with a ballistic exercise. Doesn't make sense at all. And then I hear, yeah, but it's for explosiveness. Yeah, but listen to what Louis Simmons says and what Dr. Yuri Verkhoshansky says. He says true explosiveness is built in 1.5 seconds. So it's not explosiveness. But then, what's his name? Sven Rieger, the German, he's the SFG team leader, Strong First team leader from Germany. He said a good quote. He said, yes, you're right, it's not perfect for explosiveness, but maybe somebody who's not conditioned, maybe that's enough to build some explosiveness. I said, yes, I agree. But it's not pure explosive training. Or explosive is not even the right word. It's not power training, because power, right, is how fast are you able to move a weight.
Right.
So it's power training. So when SFG, and here's another thing, then you look at the hardstyle, the snatch test, doesn't make sense at all. Because if you go above 10, 20, 30 reps, it becomes an endurance exercise. Of course your body changes and adapts to it. So then, I'm not talking bad about these guys. That's what they sometimes misunderstand. But from an analytical perspective, it doesn't make sense. And then I always hear the same thing. They say, well, it's a test of grit, right? Are you able to push through? Okay. But still,
a mental exercise of that.
it's a mental exercise, great. But still, you are applying a sprinter's technique to a marathon. Doesn't make sense, man. But where the hardstyle makes sense is when you have to use tension techniques. Where the Russians normally use barbells for this. They say, hey, for kettlebells, it's all about it's jerk, long cycle, snatch. And for the rest, for GPP or grinds or building more strength, we use the barbell. And so Pavel came up with this great idea to say, you know what? Let's use it for general fitness and for strength as well, and building muscle. And that's all cool, but the problem arises is when somebody from this camp starts claiming, I have the holy grail because it's the only true way to use a kettlebell. And that's where I'm having problems with. I'm like, hey man, use it however you want to use it, and that brings us back to this discussion about the pyramid or the expertise. If you're just getting started, listen to the ones who went before you. If you reach expert or master status, venture out on your own.
Yeah, dogma can really hold you back generally in life. You have to be open to new ways of looking at things, new ways of looking, new ways of thinking. And unfortunately, I think that when people do get these certifications, it becomes part of their identity.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, that's a good
hope
point.
I hope that most people can see through that. Having a certification behind your name, doesn't necessarily have commentary on what this tool can do.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
so
and
yeah,